I approached GNC Canada 16 times in 3 years, and I got 16 rejections.
Wow.
And on the 17th rejection, I showed up I found out that the buyer got there for 5 a.m. and I showed up at 5 a.m. I probably scared her to death, but I showed up there and I just begged her for 5 minutes of her time. And she gracefully allowed us to pitch for 5 minutes. And on the 17th attempt, she agreed to give us 5 stores in British Columbia.
Welcome to the show, Brad. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule today to chat with me. I'm so excited to have this conversation.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
This is truly a full circle moment for myself. I literally started my fitness career with your company. You and Derek were like the big bosses in one of the biggest sports supplement companies. And I didn't know it then, but the knowledge that I attained working for you guys has helped me along my own entrepreneurial journey. So I wanted to start today's podcast by just thanking you for the 2 years of opportunity. And I don't think I ever had a chance to thank you.
Well, no problem. Yeah. Thanks for those kind words. It was a really, when you came on board with us, it was a really kind of crazy time. I was obviously, I think it was in my late 20s, and, we had a company that was just, flying, and we had staff, and we had just so many people. And I didn't go to entrepreneurial school or anything. So everything was kind of being learned on the fly as well. And obviously, you're a great help to us back then. And it's been amazing to see how well you've grown and such.
Thank you. I mean, I didn't know, I don't think I realized it then, but you were like super young. I was in my early 20s. So I think like anybody older than that seems so much older, but you were young, like you guys were so young. And I think I just realized that now. And I want to talk to you about like just everything that you've achieved along the way, the lessons that you've learned. I want to sort of go back to like how you started. Like, how did you even start in the supplement industry?
Yeah. So I always had, a general interest in fitness and nutrition. I played sports. Obviously, I played basketball in high school and basketball in university. I aspired to be a professional athlete. So that's how seriously I took nutrition. That was my actual goal to do. And same with my brother. So we'd go to basketball camps in the States to get noticed. And fitness and nutrition was always part of our identity. My grandfather was a former NHL player, way back when. So it was kind of, in my family athletic wise to do things like that. And then my other side of my family was very entrepreneurial. My dad's an entrepreneur. My grandfather on the other side was an entrepreneur. He had his own clothing shop. And so entrepreneurialism was in our family as well. So in my last year of university at Western, I would have been like 21 years old. My brother he was working for a company called Muscle Tech, which obviously everybody kind of knows. And I think he was their 6th employee. And he had been working there developing products for them for several years. And he kind of realized, hey, like, I think if I'm developing these products, I could kind of sell some, like make some products for myself. And so he gave them, plenty of time, 6 months or 8 months to bring on someone new. And he said, hey, do you want to join me on this journey? Like I can develop the products and, with your kind of hustle, because that's basically at 21, all you kind of got is hustle. No textbook is going to kind of show you the way of what's about to come. Would you want to join me and we'll kind of do this thing 50-50. So I said, sure. And at that time, as I said, I was in my last year of university, and I was literally, we would sell product out of the trunk of our car. Like it was that grassroots. And I would spend any free time of my last year of university trying to put up posters, trying to get different, groups, whether it be teams or sororities or fraternities, to purchase products, whether it be weight loss or vitamins or things that we had, joint support, whatever it was at the time. And I'd go store by store by store, just trying to get, enough money to pay your bills. And I often say to people, like, when you start out, people think, oh, you work for free. You actually don't work for free. You pay to work. There's a big difference. So you take your savings that you've earned and you put your savings into your company, into your inventory, into your marketing, into your website, whatever you put it into. So you're actually paying to work.
Yes,
So
you invest in yourself.
Invest in yourself. Yeah. And so I just think it's important to people to know that they think that, oh, entrepreneurs and like, I could take a few years not getting paid. It's actually not, it's not that. It's actually beyond, it's
Yes.
beyond that. And so for 3 years we had like, we bootstrapped it. And I moved back home after university, and all my friends moved to Toronto and they had good paying jobs and they were able to go out. And I literally, like, I had a budget of $20 per month. And so if my
Wow.
friends were going to a club that had an entry fee, like, I wasn't getting in. I didn't have $10 in my budget to go to for the month to spend on an entrance fee. So I had to miss out on quite a bit of things. And, we just hustled and hustled and hustled. And, the story actually, as it unfolded, was, I approached GNC, the big nutrition center. I approached GNC Canada 16 times in 3 years, and I got 16 rejections.
Wow.
And on the 17th rejection, I showed up I find out that the buyer got there for 5 a.m. and I showed up at 5 a.m. I probably scared her to death, but I showed up there and I just begged her for 5 minutes of her time. And she gracefully allowed us to pitch for 5 minutes. And on the 17th attempt, she agreed to give us 5 stores in British Columbia. So I think she was really saying, look, here's 2 kids from Ontario. I'll make them go away. I'll give them 5 stores on the other side of the country. They'll never be able to make that work. And like, good luck. And it was like,
Wow.
a couple $100 investment to them. So, and we surely made sure that 5 stores worked. We educated the staff. We did calls, we hired someone there to just go freelance and go into stores. And we made those 5 stores, work.
Wow.
And that grew us from, 5 stores to the rest of the province of BC. And then from BC's success, we were able to get into Ontario, and then we became national. And then being national, within 2 years of the 17th rejection, we were the largest third-party brand in GNC. So that was kind of like the growth and the volume of products we were launching and the sales team that we were gathering and the momentum we were doing. And it was literally like no joke, it was like 100-hour weeks. And I was doing it, we were doing it for free because even then you weren't paying yourself. So I spent, at least 5 years either paying to work or like, working for free to make that commitment work. And in that 5-year time, there was many, many, many discussions amongst myself and Derek, and just internally, just like, is this the right choice? Is this ever going to pay off? Like, you hear stories about how everybody has, hard times at the beginning, and you can be in that moment and say, oh yeah, these are the hard times. But when you're living through it for 5 years, and there is no guarantee that pain will actually turn into something good. Like, there's like, people just go bankrupt. People just stop doing it. Well, the concept doesn't work, whatever it is. There's no actual guarantee. So these stories that you talk about after the fact sound nice, but they're really in reality, you just don't know at the time if you're onto something and how much time and money can you devote to your life to making this happen. And luckily we persevered by the skin of our teeth, and we grew the company into, over 100 million in sales. Like, we went from GNC Canada to GNC US, and then we went to Walmart Canada, and that was our big breakthrough. And that allowed us to travel to Bentonville, Arkansas to pitch Walmart US. And it was just a crazy time. Like, that's when you came on board, and we had a sports nutrition division. We had like a mainstream division for mass market accounts. At one time we had, I think it was like, if I remember correctly, something like 65 open positions in 1 year to fill. New employees.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw them piling. I started working from home, and then I think it was only 3 months working from home. And then you guys had invested in an office space, and we were all at the office. It grew fast. And then we were in the other building, and then there was hundreds of employees. That it was crazy. And I don't think I ever even, so young, not even appreciating, you guys just look like you were so successful. Right. And I don't even know I didn't even really know much of the backstory until now. So that's
Yeah, well, we put on a good face. There was a lot of stress for sure. There's a lot of late nights. There's a lot of, self-belief. I consider there's all the elements that you kind of, me, you, everybody kind of talks to in terms of helping others believe in themselves and the things that you need to be entrepreneurial. But, when you're going through it, there's just, as I said, there's just no guarantees of it. And through that, we got into, over 75,000 retail doors. We got into over 50 countries. I got exposure to working with celebrities and making commercials and dealing with the biggest media companies. And I really learned a lot on the fly. And one of the most important things that I learned was the people that you hire is actually your most important asset. It's not actually any product that you make, because the product is made by a human being. So it probably doesn't make itself. It's either me or Derek or you or anybody at the time who are outputting make these innovations or these marketing things or these new ventures. So if you don't have the infrastructure of the right people, you'll never be successful entrepreneurial. And obviously it starts off with, the entrepreneur or entrepreneurs at the time, but as it grows, you ought to make sure that each person that you're bringing on is adding to that process. I think people forget, they're like, oh, I'm so concentrating on I have to make the world's killer product. In my view, the iPhone, which is one of the most successful products of all time, is a better glorified version of the BlackBerry. I mean, when I started out, BlackBerry was the phone that had email, it had text, it had access to the internet, and it was clunky and it was this big, and everybody thought that was revolutionary. They were the ones who revolutionized that whole thing. But you don't even hear about a BlackBerry now, and iPhone's on to its 14th or whatever version that it is, and it's changed the way humans interact. So you don't need to have this revolutionary new idea that only you came up with and it's a secret sauce. It's coming up with an idea that you think will help people, and more importantly, that you execute on that idea. And if you execute on that idea, you're going to need people of the same mindset to help you execute. No, one person can do it all. And so that's, what I learned is that hiring great people or working with great people or good partners is what's really key to growing and growing fast.
Yeah, creating that support system and leading them. And I even found that with my own company. I don't have that many employees, but when you hire, you actually have to lead them. And that's a whole other job on its own, right?
Yeah, totally. Because if they're rowing in a different direction than what the vision you see, it's actually counterproductive. In that time when we had those 65 open jobs, I quickly found out that it was actually diminished returns because they weren't managed or brought in appropriately and given the right time and space to reach their potential. So on Act 2, as I call it, with the No Sugar Company, I've learned a lot from things that, Derek and I did both correctly and incorrectly, and try to apply those to this new company.
I love it. And I've seen just on your Instagram, how open you are about getting so many doors shut in your face, but you never give up. I see that. I've always seen that with you and Derek. You guys never give up. You just keep going. And one of the quotes that I read recently on your page was, behind every successful person, there's a lot of unsuccessful years. Can you expand? I know that you sort of chatted about that, but can you expand on that and maybe share how you brush yourself off and keep moving forward with your goals?
Yeah, if I honestly would take an account, I've been an entrepreneur for 21 years. And if I would actually look back on the things that I've done successfully versus unsuccessfully, it honestly is 95% unsuccessful, or 5% successful. And it just so happens that the 5% that's successful is so successful that it wipes out in totality the unsuccessful parts. Because if you're not trying new things all the time and most of the time failing, you're not really growing, as I believe it to be. So you have to be comfortable being majority of the time unsuccessful. And if you're not, entrepreneurs are figuring out problems, and problems are unsuccessful ventures. So you got to constantly, do that and be comfortable with it. I've lived a life where Wellness, as a supplement company, has been up and then down and then up and then down. So I look at it in my internal world of being hey, I've had a lot of unsuccessful years, lots of years. I've either had to stop paying myself a salary or cut back on employees or whatever the case may be. But to the outside, maybe yourself included, you're just like, well, for 21 years, Brad, Derek, whoever has just been these successful entrepreneurs. Like, you don't feel that way in it. It just happens that, your wins outshine your losses. And that's no different with No Sugar Company. I mean, it had a lot of trial and errors to get this No Sugar off the ground. And now, it's one of the biggest companies that Canada has seen. Like, it's far surpassed anything Wellnex has ever done. And it's, super exciting, but that took 21 years of unsuccessful times to get to that point. So it's a mindset that you need to have that, I pride myself on being persistent. I pride myself that in the business world, and I make it very clear that if this is in the business world, that every no is maybe not now. Take no as a definitive answer, because if you do, someone else will take your spot. So,
and a lot of people give up there. They give up when they hear the no, right?
Yeah. I mean, 16 tries to GNC back in the day when I had no leverage, I had no money, I had no big team, I had nothing. I mean, the only thing I had was to be persistent. So that was my asset. My asset was being persistent, and it served me well eventually. But I mean, you could probably tell me a few people and same here, that after the 10th or 11th no, you probably may have been like, this is the answer. But it went to 17 no's. And every person that we brought onto the team at the time, like yourself, they didn't know about those 17 no's because, the company's just function. You're just trying to hold on.
Yeah. Let's talk about No Sugar though. Like, this is awesome. Like, how did you start this? What was your mission? You have a book now. Like, let's talk about the products. Where can people buy the products? Let's just talk about it all.
Sure. So, there's two kind of missions with it that came with it. One was I was tinkering around with my own lifestyle and diet just because I'd had some issues with energy, issues with sleep, issues with like irritation, just different things. And I'd gone through, having been in this world of sports nutrition, diet for so ever, I feel like I tried, almost everything. And one of the things I hadn't tried was eliminating refined sugar. So I just started tinkering with that, lowering it, eventually getting off it. And I noticed improvement. So that was kind of, from a personal standpoint, something that I just wanted to try. And then the second thing that was really emerging, I think one of the successes we've had, or I've had, is noticing trends early. So in my Wellnex days, Dr. Oprah came out with a trend on Hoodia, and then Dr. Oz came out with trends. And there was always these trends that lasted 2 or 3 years. And I could see that the keto trend was going to be really, really big. It had the most scientific evidence. And one of the benefits of keto, or one of the things you're trying to follow, is yes, an increase in good fats, but two, you're trying to lower your net carbs. And so net carbs is really calculated by the elimination of sugar. So I felt like I could, one, position it as a No Sugar company for my own health and aspirations. And two, I knew that I could play in some keto areas of products and still stick to the core of this No Sugar mission. So I literally, in 2017, I went and looked to see if No Sugar company was available. And I'm like, there's no way, like Kraft or Kellogg's or Heinz, someone's got to have this. Like, there's no way No Sugar company's available. Like, that to me is like, no way. And it was available, and it was available worldwide. So I was like, wow. This is really something, people have known about the effects of sugar, but no major company has really taken this up. So I grabbed it, obviously. And then we developed our first, bar. I'd never done a bar before in my whole Wellnex days. I'd never done a bar because you need really high turns and you need really high inventory on them, because you can't make small productions of it. So I knew I had to be at a certain level of entrepreneurialism, that I would have access to some accounts to get these bars out to it and see if they're successful. And the bars just, they took off. So
they're so good. I bought a box at a Healthy Planet the other day, and my kids ate them too. They're so yummy.
So we hired a food formulator who specializes in bars. We took it very seriously. We didn't just come up with a back of your hand napkin. We had a sandbox that it had to play in terms of no sugar and fat content and the texture and all these things. But ultimately, we hired and contracted out someone who specialized in that. And then our real hit actually came when we launched these peanut butter cups. And so we launched these peanut butter cups that were no sugar, and kind of, they have a gooey center, and those set records. Like, They set records in Costco. They set records in Walmart. They were setting records everywhere, to the point where I was under tremendous stress once again, because we couldn't actually produce them fast enough.
Wow.
And so
Wow.
there only is 5 manufacturers in North America who produce these cups, and we run 3 of them 24/7, 365 days a year.
Oh my God.
We actually outsell Reese's peanut butter cups. So
I bought them like I bought them like last year. I don't even think I realized that it was that it was you at the time. They're so good. They're really good. They're available at Costco, like in a big bag, right?
yeah, they're available. They're available everywhere. Like Costco US, Costco UK, Costco Japan, Costco Australia.
Wow.
Like they're actually like global, and that has been like the product that has brought us, worldwide kind of attention. And so from there, we got into ice cream, and we've got into, these chocolate covered peanuts that, they're similar to M&Ms. And we have so much innovation that's coming up in the next 6 months between no sugar bread. Like, did you realize that bread has 4 grams of sugar per slice? Like, I would never think that it had 4 grams of sugar. So we've come up with a no sugar keto bread.
Wow.
We've come up with an energy drink. We've come up
Joy Burst, right? The energy drink.
Yeah. So we've come up with that, and an alcoholic seltzer. And we're actually going to be doing, which is really crazy, like, this is going to be exciting, we're doing an actual Super Bowl ad.
Oh, wow.
So yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You're the first kind of publicly to know, but we're on February 13th, we're doing a Joyverse Super Bowl ad. So we're excited about that.
Oh my God. Congrats. That's amazing.
So things have really exploded for sure.
That's amazing. And you also have a kid snack, right?
Yeah. So that one was deeply, this is a crazy story, but we actually lose money on every one of these bars that we sell. And the kids bars. And the reason is because, I have 2 daughters, a 7 and a 6-year-old, and I always wanted to have them to have healthy nutritions. And I was never able to find a kids bar, Cliff bars, all the kids bars out there, all of them had sugar. And I wanted to see if I could replicate something that tasted that a kid would eat, because they'll spit it back in your face if they don't like it.
Yep.
And had no sugar. And that just wasn't available. So the cost to make it is naturally going to be much higher than a bar that's made with sugar. But I also knew that because people have never had a bar without sugar, they're not going to be able to see a sticker shock price of like, $1,000 per bar. I'd have to price it that people would buy it to get into consumers' hands. And so I was willing to make, because I had kids and it was a personal mission and there's an anti-bullying social cause to it. I was willing to make it at a loss. Hopefully over time, as the bar continues to do what it's doing now and grow and grow and grow, I'll get economies of scale. But, for the first year of its launch, I've lost money, and I'm happy with that. I mean, my kids love them. They eat them all the time. My wife obviously has heads up the social anti-bullying campaign that we have.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, there's a message to it.
A bigger mission behind it.
A bigger mission to it. Yeah.
You're a very involved dad, it seems like to me, like when I look at your social media. How do you balance everything? Because as a mom, it is, and owning a couple companies too, there's a lot. How do you fit that in? Do you have like structured work times? Like, how do you fit in family time with everything that goes on?
Yeah, that's kind of a loaded question, because I actually, for the first time when I was 41, so 2 years ago, I suffered through mental health issues. I actually had severe anxiety, and I had insomnia, and it was because, I was so involved with wanting to be the best, parent and husband that I could, and I wanted to be the best entrepreneur that I could, and things were happening so fast, and it just became really chaotic and unclear to me. And so I'm by no means am I an expert now, but I did start to have to put in some things in place that really allowed me to focus, that when I'm at work or I'm working, which are long days and long hours because I love it, I'm really focused. And when I'm with my kids, like it's undivided time with my kids. I put the phone down to the best of my ability, and I do things that create memories. So, just last Friday, we went out for my wife is gone, and we went out for a date night, and I took them to their favorite restaurant, and phones were down, and it was just family time. But that's a loaded question for me, because it plays on a lot of things: entrepreneurialism, mental health, kids involvement, and people that, a lot of times people with active minds, like I'm sure you relate, is that your mind's always going and you want to do well at everything you put your mind to. And there may not be as many hours in the day as you need to
Yeah.
accomplish that.
Yeah. Do you depend on like a support system? Like, does your parents help, or,
Yeah.
I mean, do you have a like helper come in for the day? Do you depend on that?
So first and foremost, my wife is absolutely amazing. Like she's my partner in crime, and I wouldn't be able to do the things I do without her. And so she's very supportive, and she, helps, all the things that come to mind, both the family and just my mental state. And she's amazing. So I definitely have, from the inside out, I have a great family and very supportive. And I still rely, I bought my brother out of Wellnex in 2016. He went off to do his own Cuddle and Kind doll company,
Yeah. We have so many of the dolls.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, him and his wife Jen did Cuddle and Kind, and it's blowing up. Like the Kardashians have had their dolls, and
Wow.
he's done really well. I'm really proud of him. He's pivoted from like a retail nutrition company to an online doll company. Like it's completely different, and he's so successful with that. And he's awesome. He's one of the smartest, if not the smartest guy I've ever seen. Like he's really brilliant. But he's been a great support staff for me too. So I get to, still pick his brain and vice versa. So we still have a great bond and entrepreneurial bond as well. And then I can count on one hand, how many great, true, dependable friends I have. I don't need to have, a million people. I need to have, a close knit that I can lean on, because as I said, when COVID hit and those, mental struggles I was having, you really had a small amount of people that were there for you thick and through thin when the world was chaos. And I know who those people are. And that's kind of the support staff that I had. And I was just really fortunate.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I didn't like, I does Wellnex still have some, like, do they still have the protein powder and everything? So you're handling Wellnex and no sugar?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I have two companies. Wellnex is, I'm in the stages of being sold. So it's in it's what's called a due diligence process. So I had to make a choice about a year ago, which direction I was going to go. And no sugar was just hands down, just, going like gangbusters, and it really kind of fit my personal lifestyle. So I decided that I'd look at putting Wellnex up for sale, and it's in a due diligence. So hopefully, or it should be in the next, 3 to 6 months sold. But yeah, I've had to run two different employee bases and two different companies and two different strategies. And yeah, it's
all during COVID too. Like,
yeah,
that's crazy with the kids. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. The kids were home. That was a crazy household.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know. I always ask this at the end of my podcast, but what does the word strong mean to you?
I think the first thing that really comes to my mind is mental strength. I mean, to be mentally strong is the first and foremost. Everything else kind of follows after that. So you can have, fitness in your life and be, physically strong. You can have family strong bonds, and you can have entrepreneurial strength. But ultimately, I think it all comes from your mental strength. And I think that, the way I grew up and the way I believe is that, as long as you have this, your brain, and you have, your heart, you're kind of equal to anybody else on this world. And so you can do really whatever you want that you put your mind to first. And so I think that strong represents to me mental strength. And those are things that you need to work on, just the way you'd work on any part else of your body. So that's what comes to mind.
Brad, where can everybody find you?
Find me physically, you mean? or
on social, on the internet?
Yeah, no, I was just joking with you. Yeah, so I'm on Instagram. No Sugar CEO is my handle, and I like to bring some of our innovation there and tie in some of the things I'm doing with my family. So you can find me there. Obviously, I'm on LinkedIn. And yeah, we have a lot of exciting, media projects coming up that you may be seeing, maybe more than you want of me, but they'll be out there. But yeah, that's where you can find me. And yeah,
I've been seeing you show up more often. I'm enjoying all your content. I love it. And I really, really appreciate you coming on the show. I know like you are so busy. So thank you so much for taking the time. And you've dropped so many knowledge bombs for our listeners. And I know that they're going to learn so much from you. So I would love to have you back sometime again in the future if you're willing to. But thank you so much again for coming on, and we'll chat soon, Brad.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Take care.
Bye.